I did want to touch on you mentioned Clovis Bray. That is, have you read both parts of the journal?
I am part way through reading it, I will admit. I only managed to get a certain portion through. You can see where I vaguely stopped.
It's a long journal. It's a lot of text, a lot of literature.
I've also read summaries of parts of it, and I won't go into too much detail, but from what we can tell already, oh my god, Clovis Bray is a character that we will be talking about for years, and it makes me so glad that we saw all of this expanded on. Ultimately, he may be one of the best written characters, alongside characters, and it'll be amazing to hear some people say this, like Mara Sov and like Oryx.
I would absolutely agree.
Is up there now. Like, this book is one thing, but all the lore that we're getting in the game from the Exo Stranger, who will just give us the little bits of dialogue, and also all of the stuff that is being written in the in-game lore books that we'll see as well. Yeah, phenomenal. Fantastic. I really do feel like that's going to be where the future of the kind of key villains lies as well, is in these kind of like big overarching stories behind them. That makes them really quite compelling. Now, I just have no end of good things to say about what they've done with Clovis Bray's story.
I would hands down say this Clovis Bray story is one of the best told stories I have ever seen in Destiny. Like, I think, again, I would put it on the same level as, I don't know, I mean, again, it's hard to compare. I don't even want to compare, because I genuinely think the dark kind of science nature to this especially grabbed me. The bioengineering, the crazy dictator level madman psychopath that Clovis Bray is. We've seen the name Clovis Bray for many, many years. We've seen the company, and now finally and we've known Exos. We've never actually known
much about them, right?
The massive detail. We've known there's a thing called the Deepstone Crypt. We don't know anything else. But the way that Bungie have tied together the Deepstone Crypt and the way they've tied together all of these storylines, I am very impressed. And obviously we know that they didn't deliberately intend for all of them. They left a lot of how Bungie do things. They leave a lot of open ends, and then later on they find very clever ways to tie them up. So it almost seems like they had the kind of this perfect plan from the start, but you can't really tell the difference, because it does seem like the way, and there's so much more that we won't talk about, spoiler level stuff about like Clovis that we'll see in future weeks. But from what we've seen so far, the first part of the journal, it's hands down one of the best written stories. It's actually written by the same guy that wrote the Taken King, the Books of Sorrows, I think Mara Senna.
Seth Dickinson.
Seth Dickinson, yeah.
Oh, wait, well, okay. So Mara Senna is so that's two different writers. If I'm not mistaken, Mara Senna is written by someone different from Seth Dickinson. I want to say that's true. I'm pretty sure it is, because I think it was Mallory who was working at Bungie who wrote that.
All I know is that, Seth Dickinson was the name that I saw for it's just a massive list of the best told Destiny stories. He's like an actual sci-fi. He writes novels and books, and clearly, I don't know how his mind works, but just reading the Clovis Bray lore, I said it in a video that I made. I wish Bungie would make like short films, animations, little cutscenes, even if they were like the cheaper ones, like the Elixir, the Whirlwind cutscene we got, which was it's more of the 2D print one. If Bungie did a little cutscene, a cutscene based off of the Clovis Bray's journal, and they uploaded that before Beyond Light, I think people would get so much more excited for the expansion and really know who Clovis Bray is. But again, like I said, not many people are going to read through the trillion pages of the part 1 in the journal, and there's also the missing pages, which is also very, very long, and then there's a ton more. There's so much good lore buried in pages, and that's what people like you are here for, to explain it, condense it in beautiful videos. But
it's a shame that they'll never read it. But I mean, I guess they could just watch videos.
It's just forcing everyone to go to your channel. If you want to know this stuff, you have to go to My Name Is Bife. But there is like the Clovis Bray story. I mean, because I'm really into science and biology and all this kind of every topic in the Clovis Bray journal was definitely I just found fascinating. Even the like how they built a Dyson swarm around the Forge Star and how they're harnessing it for energy. Just the concept around putting a human mind in a robot body and how to make it work, and then explaining how that ties into the Exos who have seen for a long time, and then explain what a Deep Stone Crypt was. Yeah, I thought it was just one of the best stories. It is Book of Sorrows level of unbelievable story, and I wish it was visualized, because again, I as an avid as someone with an avid interest in this stuff, trawled through these massive journals, but most people aren't going to do that, and I wish most people could experience the kind of story that is buried in these journals.
Absolutely. And I gotta say this too, I love that a lot of it immediately relates to the story in Europa. You know that portal at the end of the Glassway strike? Yeah, that's very much mentioned in the book, and it's very important, and there's very much a reason why all of that radiolarian fluid ends up getting collected. And for those of you who have not read the journal, I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but let's just say that you're going to hear a lot about the term clarity control, and that will be important. There's also, I think, especially with those 2 pages that were discovered, that if you have the physical edition, are ripped out at the end. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, that's important.
And that's almost the bigger...
And it may be very important for the raid coming up soon. So,
from what I've seen, the stuff in the missing pages is even bigger than the first half of the page. And again, this is even before the raid. What I'm saying is just that there is a massive amount of... This definitely... It reminds me of Forsaken in the sense that there's just so much lore to dig through. And again, I'll be sitting patiently waiting for you to upload your videos to explain a bunch of this stuff. But there is so much like story, which is... good that it exists, but again, I wish it wasn't buried and so difficult to obtain, because I think a lot of people would be blown away by the stuff if they're able to easily access it, you know, in game with some cutscenes. And I think the community would get a lot more hyped if they could, you know, if they could understand just how much of a crazy madman that Clovis Bray is. But yeah, he's a wild dude.
No question, this is going to be some of the best lore for the expansions that have been released in a while. And we haven't even got a hold of all of the different lore books yet. There's a lot. We still have a lot to explore.
And the Exo Stranger as well. They had a very tough... Yeah. It's quite a tall order to tie that in and to make that make sense, because she's been just the biggest like bait for the entire Destiny franchise. She was shown off as an interesting character, and then don't have time to explain. See ya, and he's gone. They even made a meme gun about it. No time to explain. It's just become part of Destiny culture at this point. But for them to actually bring her back and make a big deal out of it, again, they've done it very well. And tying it into Clovis Bray and Europa, it all makes a lot of sense. It's all, again, it almost gives the impression that Bungie had planned this from day one in 2014. But I don't know, however they do it, that they are doing a good job of tying the very messy spaghetti storylines into one coherent kind of narrative, I'd say.